Y'all ready for the lobby to crash again? Immediately? I know I am. Testing, audio testing. Could someone in chat please let me know if I am good? C. McDukey says, gotcha. Excellent. All right. In that case, we are ready for today's race, but first we'll be going into qualifying. So be patient while we get through this loading screen. Should be just a few more moments. There we go. Final stages of it. And here we are finally, after some technical difficulties due to a lobby restart. It may be 10 minutes late, but we are here. Welcome, everybody, to another Breakout Racing League race in Season 6 here. And today we're back with another race from our realistic tier on Xbox. Realistic meaning realistic car performance. And we're here for round 11 of our 17-round season this time around, and we are at the beautiful Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, one of the most iconic tracks in Formula One, arguably the best one on the calendar, and today we are in for an absolute treat. And the drivers are heading out onto the track right now. Shouldn't be too long before we get some laps done. But first off, let me just explain the qualifying format briefly. We are not using the standard 18 minutes long short qualifying format that most leagues do. In BRL Realistic Tier, we go with full qualifying, meaning exactly the same as it is in real life Formula One. We start out with the Q1 session, which is what we're in now, 18 minutes in length. And the top 15 from this session, or top 14, depending on the game's mood, will transfer from this session to Q2, which will last for 15 minutes. And the top 10 from Q2 will get into Q3, which is a 12-minute session where everything is on the line and pole position will be given out. But first, let's see. One of the Alfa Romeos looks like it's out in front. Yep, VRT Wallman here in the Alfa Romeo car, filling in for another driver. I should mention, since we just got through the 10th race of the season, there have been quite a few shakeups in the driver lineup, one of which has been at Mercedes. For the first 10 races of the season, Meanfern, who you see reserving in the McLaren today, Meanfern was one of the drivers for the Black Arrows, but their contract has run out, and the managers have decided not to renew it. So he is out, and DXT Ishigo, who was previously driving for Renault, if I remember correctly, has gone up to the big time, and we'll have to see how he can get on with ARS Gudadu 7. He missed last week's race at Hungary, but keep in mind that in the two races before that, Austria and Silverstone, he got pole position and won both races. So he has been amazing on pace recently. But first, before we go into any more of that, let's ride on board with VRT Wallman for a brief tour of the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It's quite a big track, so there's a lot to cover. Here we go. Pretty short pit straight. This is a DRS zone, the first one on the track, but it's not really an overtaking opportunity as we go into La Source, the hairpin at turn 1. Not really an overtaking opportunity either, except on the first lap, which is going to be absolutely manic here. Now down the hill, and up to the most iconic corner on the entire F1 calendar, Eau Rouge and Radion as he goes up the hill, and switch back to the left now down onto the Kemmel Straight, one of the longest straightaways on the F1 calendar at any track, right up there with Mexico and Baku. This is a huge overtaking opportunity. The second DRS zone, the longest DRS zone, into the Les Combes chicane, turns 4 and 5. And now through Malmedy, the right-hander, and now going down the hill into Rivage. One of the hardest corners to get right, most certainly on this track. Yeah, you're very prone to locking up, and it's understeer central, really. Next, the left-hander that officially does not have a name. It is called No Name Corner. Now through Poulon, almost flat out. You got to be very ballsy through here to get just the right amount of speed without spinning, like Antonio Giovinazzi has in real life here multiple times. And into the Fagnes chicane, like Les Combes, but not as interesting and not as good for overtaking. And now into the third sector through Stavelot, the right-hander. Again, very difficult to get right. As you can see, Wallman getting a little squirrely on the power there. And through the right-hander, that's Stavelot too. And onto the back straight, which does not have a DRS zone, unlike the Kemmel Street, so it's not quite as good for overtaking. But if you get a decent run, especially through this flat-out left-hander that's coming up, Blanchimont right here, if you can get a good run through there, you can often overtake into the bus stop chicane, the final two corners of the lap, which Wallman will go through now. Second gear for the first part, and then up to third for the exit. And across the line, what the time's going to be, a 144.094. One of the Williams cars is coming across the line next. I think it's BRL Ardell. Yes, it is Ardell going up to a 145.2 in the slower car. And Michi 950 in the Ferrari, 144.785. Not bad at all from him. Keep in mind, Michi is on his Ferrari debut today. His first 10 races saw him being contracted with Alfa Romeo, who are currently at the bottom of the Constructors' Championship. And have yet to score points, but Michi's performances have been impressive enough that he has been called up to Ferrari to fill a vacancy left by, I believe, who was it? It was either ARS Science or MRL Victor. I can't remember which. But either way, he is here now. And a decent first lap. And the times are just going to flow in now, pretty much non-stop. Zach the Beast 42 in the second Alfa Romeo, who's filling in for Broken Reptile, who's absent today. He gets a 145.857. BRL Phantom in the Red Bull car. Actually, keep in mind, BRL Phantom is in the Red Bull today. He is filling it. Guess who he's filling in for? He is filling in for the championship leader, Ritzy Raccoon. Unsighted port setting the fastest lap so far in the AlphaTauri with a 143.166. Phantom seeming to have trouble getting up to speed, much like Alex Albon did in 2019, I suppose. That was his Red Bull debut as well. But keep in mind, Ritzy is the championship leader right now, and it's a pretty tight battle for the lead right now between him and Taylor. So, yeah, Ritzy has 161 points right now. Taylor has 145, and Taylor is here today. So if Taylor is able to get second or better, then he'll be able to take the lead of the championship here simply by default. And if he gets third with the fastest lap, he'll be able to tie. If I remember correctly, in BRL, reserve drivers do not score points for the people that they're filling in for. In some leagues, it is half points, but not around here, if I remember correctly. If someone wants to correct me on that and they think they know better, then go right ahead. But BRL Phantom not getting the best initial time. Ed Taranya in the second Ferrari, after being absent from Hungary's race. That's the slowest time so far, 145.938. Most of the times you're going to see here are probably going to be in the 43 range, at least when the faster cars. Oh! Ed Taranya's around. Out of Stabilo 1. Ferrari had a really hard hit there, and I'm surprised he's not missing his right front wheel after that. Wow. He has lost the entire right side of his front wing, which is to be expected, but he is really lucky there. Sometimes on weird angle collisions like that, sometimes cars will lose a bit of their front wing, just a little bit, and other times they will just have the wheel pop off like the car was being held together with duct tape. So it does kind of vary. The damage model in this game is not the best, but it does the job. Oh, and another spin. Oh, Ed Taranya's out now. I don't think he actually lost a wheel there. Yeah, I don't think he actually lost a wheel. He just lost it, and I guess he retired. And I don't think that lap time is going to be good enough to get into Q2. We'll have to see. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now, but I highly doubt it. Boss Cookie, meanwhile, in the Racing Point car. Racing Point actually losing a driver today. They're on one leg at the moment. The regular Racing Point lineup consists of Boss Cookie and Fin Fan, if I remember correctly. Yes, it does. Number 1 Fin Fan, who is absent today. So he will not be able to defend his current position of 8th in the championship. He recently lost 7th to the AlphaTauri BRL Neymar. And some other new faces today as well. Dark Ice Racer, currently driving for Haas. I believe he's the new full-time driver for them. Chandler Sato has recently signed to a new contract with McLaren. And his current teammate is Sink Kiswato, who is not actually here today, as Gudadu sets the fastest lap of the session with a 142.0. No surprise there. He has been blistering recently. And Bobina 29 has replaced DXT Ashigo at Renault. This is his debut in all of BRL, I believe, not just realistic. So very exciting opportunity for him. And meanwhile, the times continue to roll in. Who's going to be next? I think it'll be the second Williams of Ron Swanson. No, he's on an outlap right now. We have a lot of reserves today. Ron Swanson filling in for TTM Stenner today, who had a disappointing performance at Hungary, DNF. Now let me give you a quick picture of where the Constructors' Championship sits right now. I mentioned that Ritzy is currently 16 points ahead of Taylor, and that's where the drivers sit, and no one else is really in contention right now. But for the Constructors, Red Bull are leading quite handily with a combined 306 points. Mercedes are in a distant second with 167. Racing Point third with 145. So the main battle right now is between Mercedes and Racing Point, it would seem. And then AlphaTauri in a solid fourth. Top of the midfield with a 104. McLaren fifth with 80 points, and then Ferrari with 53, Renault with 47. They actually swapped places last week, thanks to a strong performance from Ferrari, which involved a podium from Chandler. And then Haas is in 8th with as many points. Williams has 6 points in 9th, and Alfa Romeo has yet to score this season, as I mentioned earlier. WeTuber 099 is in the chat saying hello. Hello to you as well, Ogui. Welcome to the show. Oh yeah, my bad, Ardell. You were the one in Renault, not Ashigo. Yeah, Ashigo was out one of the other teams. Let's see, which one was it? I think it was actually Wasn't it Williams? No, he was at McLaren, my bad. Yeah, Shigo was at McLaren for most of the season, but now he is over at Mercedes. Meanwhile, Ron Swanson in the Williams, in the meantime, is currently rounding the bus stop chicane, and he's going to be sitting in time, looks like a high 44. No, it's going to be into the 45s. A 45.364, which is just behind his teammate for the day, Ardell, but still ahead of Zach the Beast, who seems to be having some growing pains with his car. Meanwhile, Taylor Clan in the Red Bull, who seems to be the favorite to win this race. He won it last season in the Mercedes. Fun fact, Belgium last year was actually the first race in this year that I ever commentated. But Taylor's on a flying lap right now, heading through No Name corner, looking very aggressive. Ooh, a bit of oversteer off of No Name. Into pull on now. The Red Bull's supremely stable, but on a power track like Spa, that Honda engine is not the best. So he will be in a disadvantage in that way today, in a way that he wasn't last season. Through Fender chicane now. Very smooth indeed. Red Bull looking planted. Seems to have quite a bit of rear downforce on it. Through Stavolo, not the best line, but still maintaining a decent amount of speed. Purple middle sector, it looks like he's going to be able to at least compete with Guidu, if not beat him. The AlphaTauri seeming to give a bit of a toe there from Neymar. Neymar up at 4th right now with a 43.4 just behind his teammate. Outside of Port is not a full-time driver. He's filling in today for Deer Hunter, who had a solid outing at Hungary last week. I believe he finished 4th, if I remember correctly. Taylor through the bus stop chicane now. No, Deer Hunter finished 7th. He finished 4th on track, I remember, but he got penalties that knocked him down 3 spots. And Taylor not quite getting the fastest lap there, but only a 10th behind, and I think that'll put him safely into Q2. Any 142 this early on is going to be a pretty safe bet for advancement. Boss Cookie up to 8th with the time that he actually set a while ago, 143.8. We kind of missed that, didn't we? Meanfern with a 143.192. So that puts him up to 5th. Chandler a bit higher. Shigo hasn't set a time yet. Let's see where he stands right now. Looks like it's going to be a 42. Yes, it is. 42.8 from Shigo on his Mercedes debut in Q1. And that's looking good for a Q2 appearance. So, looks like he's got all of his ducks in a row. Let's move over to the 2 Renaults. Bobina, after a failed lap attempt, which appears to have ended in invalidation, is coming back into the pits. Hey, Katrit, trying to log her first lap already. Ooh, purple first sector from the Renault. We know in real life that the Renault cars was very strong here at a low downforce track like Spa. Daniel Ricciardo especially put in a really impressive performance here last year, finishing 4th place with the fastest lap. And if he'd put in just one more lap, he would have caught Max Verstappen for the podium. He really was charging towards the end. Hopefully Katra can harness a similar energy today. I doubt she'll get as high as 4th place, but she'll still be a good performance. Coming through Pouan now, looking very ballsy indeed. Looking good so far through Fanya chicane. Taking the normal line in. Taking plenty of curve through it though, especially on the left-hander. Now into Stavolo. Not bad, not bad. And out onto the back straightaway. Not using all of the track, but seemingly not needing to be fair. Scappy showing his support for Katra as she goes down the back straight through Blanchimont now. And into the bus stop chicane. How she fare in the braking zone. Ooh, a bit of a lockup, but she got the car slowed down. Ooh, a bit of a mess up there in the second part though. Not quite hitting the apex as well as she could have. But it's a 43.2 nonetheless, and that's good for 8th place, and it should be good for a Q2 appearance, I would suspect. Dark Ice Racer, meanwhile, in the Haas car. The Haas, of course, the second slowest car in this game. He's going to have a hard time wrangling the car around the track, but he seems to be doing pretty well so far. Almost invalidating his Stavolo. As Ishigo is now retired from the session, it looks like he's in the pit lane, so no crashes there to speak of, thankfully. Dark Ice heading down the back straight now. Keep in mind, Dark Ice is not the full-time driver for Haas. As of right now, he is filling in for Lewis Fan 44, who actually just got the full-time seat after last week, after a very strong outing with Mercedes in reserve for Gudidu. Dark Eyes with a 44.8, looking pretty decent, but 8/10 behind VRT Wallman, so it's going to be hard for him to improve on where he's already gotten. Cookie retiring from the session. He seems to have played it pretty conservative this time around, trying to conserve his sets of soft tires, I suspect, to save him for Q3. Balbina on an out lap right now. Katja posted a 43.2, as I said before, so she's sitting pretty at the moment. ARS Goodidoo on a flying lap right now, trying to expand his advantage over Taylor just for safety's sake. I'm not sure why he's doing this. He doesn't seem to need to, but he is nonetheless. Chandler retiring from the session. Goodidoo thundering his way through Puan. And into the Panya chicane. Seems to be taking it pretty slowly, though. This might just be an in lap. So we'll see how that unfolds. Ears Fan and Zinx Motions and complimenting my commentary. Thank you guys. Thank you guys very much. But make sure to give any feedback that you have for me in the chat. I'm always looking to improve my style as usual. We're actually up to 30 viewers already. Twitch is telling me that we've got 30 viewers on the stream right now, which is absolutely insane for the first qualifying session. Normally people find this part boring as Katja retires. Everyone seems to be predicting that Balbina is going to be into Q2, but first we got to see how he fares in his flying lap. Hasn't actually put a time on the board yet. Neither is Vojay in the Haas car. The time to beat right now for the top 15 is a 145.3, which was set by the Williams of Ron Swanson. I suspect that should be pretty beatable in the Renault, which is the 6th fastest car, as opposed to the Williams, which is, as of right now, the slowest as a whole. Balbina coming through the middle sector right now. Technical, daring, dangerous part of the track through Puan. Not quite as tight a line as you might want through the first part of the corner, but of course the Renault not having quite as much downforce as, say, a Mercedes or a Red Bull. Dark Ice Racer now retiring. It seems he's happy with his time. I guess there's not much that the Haas driver can do to improve from his current spot, a 144.8. A little bit sluggish through Stavolo, but overall a good run onto the back straight. Purple middle sector supposedly, but sometimes this game does give out fake purple sectors. I know. Looks like Balbina is getting a bit of a tow from the Williams, actually, of BRL Ardell. Very weird tow through Blanchimont. That's going to actually hurt him a little bit. Oh, they're going to be side by side. Is that Swanson? No, it's not Swanson. Ardell was on an out lap there. Hold on a minute. Ardell was like right on the racing line while Balbina was doing his lap. Balbina still gets 43.3, which is pretty respectable, very close to Katja and into the top 10. But the stewards might be having a look at that, because Ardell was definitely impeding Balbina's line there. I mean, it was on a flat-out straightaway, so it wasn't going to matter that much in terms of time alteration. But a little bit naughty on the part of the Williams driver. Yeah, Feta Cheese pointing out that Balbina was able to take advantage of the slipstream there for a part of the back straight, but I suspect that he would have been held up through Blanchimont, because the dirty air effect can really wash your car out wide on that corner, and when you're in a really fast aerodynamic grip dependent corner like Blanchimont, that's really important. That is like life or death stuff in real life. Shigo saying he's happy with his P4. Meanwhile, Ardell currently making his way through the middle sector into the Fanya chicane now. Been watching him for a little bit. Looking good so far. Let's see what his middle sector split is, though. He's going to need a little bit more time to really be clear of the rest of the field. He's about a half second up on his previous time, so as it stands, he'll be able to leapfrog Dark Ice at the very least. I don't think Mitchie is going to be within striking distance, though, unless he really has something special through the bus stop chicane. And Ardell coming to the bus stop. Ooh, quite a bit of curb taken up on the first corner. That's not normally the best solution to that corner, but nonetheless, pretty good time. 6.5 tenths improvement, not bad at all. And he pretty much splits the difference between Mitchie and Dark Ice up to 13th. So that'll help him get a little bit of extra insurance for his journey into Q2. But Zach the Beast, it looks like he's actually invalidated his lap very early on. Maybe through Lake Calm. Ooh, so Zach is going to be out in that case in Q1 because the session is over. The session timer has ticked down to 0. So that was Zach's rather. That was his last chance. So he is going to be out. Zach the Beast is out for Alfa Romeo along with Ron Swanson, Ed Taranya, and Vojay, who didn't actually get a time on the board for some reason. Not sure what's going on with him. Yeah, Ardell into Q2, but he might be haunted by some super license points from the stewards for that incident with Balbina. That was very sketchy. And keep in mind, Wallman might be eliminated too, depending on how the game's feeling, because for some reason it eliminates 15th place in Q1 sometimes when there's no full grid. Normally that only happens when drivers join late mid-qualifying, and we didn't have that this time. But there have been instances where it has happened independently of that, so watch out. Both of the AlphaTauris going well, unsighted port driving in reserve, and driving very well indeed, actually beating Neymar by a couple of hundredths. For 5th place, Neymar in 6th. AlphaTauri showing their usual supreme midfield pace. Both McLarens going very well. Both Renaults going well as well. Well as well. That's a great sentence, I must say. Yeah, BRL Bailey, or Bailey basically equals Bobby in it. That's his Twitch name. Saying he made me miss my apex at Blanchimont. And Ardell saying, no, I gave him a slipstream. So could be a bit of give and take there. But nonetheless, you're not supposed to block other drivers when they're on flying laps. Ardell was on an outlap and, oh, crap, not this again. Wallman has indeed been knocked out in Q1 unfairly by the game. So that's just wonderful. And there seems to be a bit of an argument going on in chat right now over the Ardell incident. So let's keep it civil, guys. I love the chat activity, but let's not get too controversial about it. Ears fan asking, so are the drivers rated based on their skill level, which then determines the seat they get since it's realistic performance? No, we use managers in realistic performance. The realistic tier has managers for each team that sign drivers for specific lengths of time. And the first 10 races was the standard contract period from the start of the season that just expired, which is why you're seeing all these changes now from Hungary to Belgium. So no, managers pick, not an algorithm. To answer your question. So we're going to go on to Q2 now. It seems that both Alfa Romeos, as well as Swanson, Vojay, and who was the other one? It'll come to me. Don't tell me, chat. Tironya. Yeah, at Tironya. They will all be absent from Q2. We'll be going into the session now. Yeah, Skeppy going into a little bit more detail on how our driver market system works, because of course drivers are not free to sign. There's certain values tied to them, imaginary money that the managers have to manage. So we're starting with Q2 now, and going out onto track first is BRL Ardell, the man who's already under fire for something he did in Q1. Naughty, naughty, naughty boy. Ardell saying, oh, by the way, Wallman cut the whole last chicane going into the pits. Well, I didn't see that, but if you saw it, feel free to clip it and send it to the stewards. I'm sure they'll know what to do with it. Zig's Motion asking, how long have you been commentating? That's a good question. Let's see. First gig was almost a year now, Zinks. It's been with a lot of different people, a lot of different leagues. With BRL, I've only been doing it for about 6 or 7 months. But overall, the first time I did it was early last summer, last June, I believe. So, yeah, almost a year. 10 months. Skep saying, oh, the sub notification didn't pop up. Oh crud. Yeah, who just subscribed? Skeppy, tell me who just subscribed, because I don't see it either. I'm actually going to tweak my user interface a little bit here to make sure I can see all the notifications. And in a moment, I'll explain the strategy aspects of Q2 as well, because in this particular session, it's not as simple as just going as quickly as possible. It's also about which tires you can use to get into Q3 and which tires you want to start on in the race. Yeah, our last followers, let's see, who's followed already this stream? Just 2 people, Gaily Jack 18 and Guituber 099. If you guys are both still here, then I just want you to know, I see you guys. You have just followed the stream, and thank you guys for doing that. We're at 1,072 followers right now, which is absolutely excellent. The current goal is to get to 1,500 subscribers by the end of this summer. Oh, Skeppy, nice. And yeah, Skeppy getting the 3-month resub, but he owns the league, so you expect him to stay subscribed, because This is kind of him just giving money to himself. Insert Obama medal meme here. But, yeah. Hey, Skeppy pointing out that Zinx's thing worked. And yes, I do see. Zinx, you followed the stream, and thank you very much for doing so. You're number 1073. And meanwhile, in the background, I've been focusing on some other stuff with Twitch, but now we can switch to the action qualifying. I'm just focusing on Ardell here because he was the first one to start a lap, and he hasn't invalidated yet, so we'll just keep following him for now. I believe the next guy to cross the line after him will be either Phantom or Taylor. Yeah, it'll be Taylor coming across the line next, and after that, the two Renaults of Bobina and Katra, followed by the one remaining Ferrari of Michi. Now, you'll notice that Michi is currently on... A lot of people actually are currently on the medium compound of tire, the yellow-walled M. And there is a reason for that. Although the medium tire is slower over the course of one lap, it doesn't have as good absolute pace. The medium does hold up better during the race in a long stint situation on high fuel. So there will be some people here who are trying to get into Q3 on mediums, and you know why? Because, as Ardell sets a 1:45.395 time, not bad for him. And this is because Taylor's setting a 42.0. All right, we're going to have a little break in the times here now, I think. Oh, never mind. Bobina getting a 43.8. What's Katra going to have? 43.5, answering with a faster time. We'll go through the rest of the times before we go over the rest of the strategical stuff. And my spectator menu is glitched out, so we're not going to be using it. Michi setting a 44.9, but on the medium tire, not bad at all. Unsighted Port going up to second with a 43.1. Cookie's next. And, second fastest, 142.896, although I'm sure you can wring a little bit more pace out of that car. Or the capable of beating the Red Bull at this particular track. Dark Ice Racer going up with a 145.3, again on the mediums. Oh, Cookie is on the mediums. He did that lap on the slower tires, so that would explain the deficit between him and Taylor. But as I was saying, before all that came out, there is a reason that people are going onto the mediums. If you get into Q3, if you start in the top 10, you have to start the race on the exact same set, not just the same compound, but the same exact set of tires that you use to set your fastest lap in Q2. That is the rule. If you're eliminated in Q2, it doesn't matter. You get free choice of tires at the start of the race. But if you get into Q3, then you have to use your tires from Q2. So if you set your fastest lap in Q2 on mediums and got into Q3, then that is a huge advantage because you'll be able to go deeper into the race on your first stint, and that can be pretty big. When it comes to freedom of strategy, when it comes to reacting to a safety car, there are a lot of advantages that come with that. But the thing is, Belgium is one of the lower tire wear tracks. Generally, the strategy around here is normally just a standard soft to medium. You know, start on softs, pit on lap 10, and go the other 12 laps on the yellow wall tire. But some people do like to do medium soft. You know, if it starts raining around like lap 15, then the people who start on mediums will be able to stretch out their tires, and the soft runners won't. If there's a late safety car, they'll be better positioned. So there are still advantages. They're just not as pronounced at this particular venue. Gududu setting a 47.0. That's without a doubt with a mistake tied in somewhere. That is not the Mercedes ultimate pace, and that is not Gududu's ultimate pace. Neymar heading through Pouan right now. Ooh, looking a little squirrely on the medium tires, but still keeping it together, keeping it safe. Zinx asking, are EU players allowed to compete in these or other tiers? Well, Zinx, we are primarily a North American-based league. We base our times around the North American audience, meaning USA, Mexico, Canada, other places as well, Colombia, etc. We base our times around those people, but technically, if you are from the EU and you feel like racing late at night or something, you can join BRL. You can sign up. There are no strict geographical restrictions. Fed, I think you mean 1 a.m. UK. Oh no, you were responding to Scout, never mind. 8 p.m. EST is roughly midnight UK. Yes, it is. 1 a.m. UK. And Neymar setting a time of a 43.7 again while I was looking at Twitch chat, so looks like Neymar is in a pretty decent position right now. Just a brief reminder that the top 10 will be progressing into Q3 from this session. So that, as of right now, Ishigo, Phantom, Chandler, and Mean Fern are all in a position to be eliminated. However, none of them have set times yet, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But they will be under pressure here since they have forfeited their chance at a first lap. We're already halfway through the session, more than halfway actually. About 7 minutes left. Phantom just starting his lap right now on the Red Bull. Let's ride on board with him. Meanwhile, Shifts. Hold on a minute. Mr. Shifts has just subscribed for 1 month at Tier 1. Shifts, welcome to BRL. Welcome to the BRL community. I don't know how long you've been around, but wow. That's very generous of you. Thank you for that subscription. As of right now, we have only 5 subscribers. Of course, League Racing generally is not as conducive to making people subscribe as your average gaming streamer. But it is still very nice to have the support. And Lucas 195,000. Thank you very much for following the stream. You are number 1,074. So welcome to the sprawling BRL community, and I hope you enjoy the race. Phantom looking a bit squirrely out of no-name corner, but still keeping it together, just like Neymar. But he is on the soft tires, so if he bins it, he doesn't really have that excuse of, oh, I was on the less grippy tires. Taylor, meanwhile, has retired. He knows he's well into Q3 pretty easily, and he'll be doing it on the soft tires. So Taylor will not be trying to push the medium advantage. Good to do Cookie R though. Remember, the medium gamble is not as much of an advantage at low tire wear tracks like Belgium, but it still has its upsides, and Goody and Cookie know that, and they're trying to take advantage. Phantom no, and his teammate Taylor not really caring about that. Shift saying, been here for a little bit. Well, welcome either way. Shifts, I haven't seen you on Twitch yet before, so I will just say welcome. Thank you very much again. Anatiam1, I'm not sure if I got that right, but you needing any drivers for realistic? We're always looking for new drivers for realistic. A lot of the times the full-time drivers don't show up, so we need reserves. And also, just generally, the realistic tier lineup is never locked in place for the entire season. All these guys are at the mercy of their managers, and if you can get a reserve spot in one race and impress one of the managers enough, they can give you a full-time seat at pretty much any time. So make sure to check that out. Just because all the seats are full right now doesn't mean they still will be in a week, let's say. And a random party invite appeared. Okay, never mind that. Phantom setting a 143.3, by the way. Good enough for 6th place. I know I'm not really rattling off the times right as they come in, but I'm just trying to communicate with you guys in chat, because that is just as enjoyable as the racing action itself sometimes. Scott mentioning that we also have ACC, instead of course the Competition and iRacing programs. Both of those are very fun. I don't have either of those games myself, because I'm not really a PC gamer, and ACC isn't on Xbox Game Pass, but we have a lot of people who love those games, and we've got plenty of competitive stuff for you there. Even if you don't like F1, we still have plenty for you. And yeah, Vahano, I don't know if I pronounced your name right, but yeah, you just get involved in the league by joining our Discord server, and all will flow forth from there. So Phantom seems to be on cruise control right now. Probably is in AI mode as he waits to come into the pit lane. Ishigo, meanwhile, he has not set a lap time yet, so he is going to be under pressure right now. Same with Meanford in the McLaren, who's actually just come out of the pit lane to start his outlap. So both Meanford and Ishigo are cutting it pretty close here. As of right now, the two drivers at risk are Dark Ice and Ardell, although and Mitchie being the man at risk to be put into the elimination zone. Cookie retires. He knows he's safe. But keep in mind, Mitchie and Dark Ice haven't unlocked their full potential yet, pace-wise, because they set their laps on the medium tires. So they could abandon the medium gamble right now, just switch tires, which I think they're doing right now, actually. Yeah, Dark Ice and Mitchie are both going back out on the softs. So you can switch tire compounds mid-session and try again for a better time. That is very easy to do. Shigo starting his lap right now. Let's ride on board with him as his teammate Gunadu retires from 3rd place. Coming down through Eau Rouge, looking very smooth. Ooh, sounds like he lifted off the throttle a little bit there through Radion, and I think Chico might have lost a little bit of time, a little bit of momentum down the Kemmel Straight because of that. Nonetheless, he's still going fine, up to 207 miles an hour, topping out Purple Sector 1, supposedly, but I'm not sure how accurate that is, considering this game's glitches. Through Lake Com, again, looking good, a little squirrely, maybe taking a little bit too much curb, I'd say. But overall, keeping it clean. Locking up into Ravage, that's not going to be good for his time. being a little bit wide on the apex and at the exit. Keeping it together, though, through No Name. Being careful not to extend the track there to invalidate his time. No Name is one of the easiest places to drift wide on this track, especially in the less grippy cars. Very solid and stable through Puan. Good line, good form. Into the Fender chicane now. Ooh, not turning in early enough, I think, and he had to pay for that a little bit on the exit of the first part. You saw him lifting off a bit there to correct his angle. Through Stavolo now. Again, lifting off a little bit too much. I think Ishigo hasn't quite found the full potential of this car yet. He's working on it. I can tell he does have potential. He's got plenty of experience in league racing, but as of right now, he is struggling a little bit with the realistic performance Mercedes. Yeah, Feta pointing out that 6th gear through Puan is quite unusual. Normally that corner is taken in 7th gear, but it seems that Ishigo just wanted the extra revs there. Ishigo coming up to the line now out of the bus stop chicane. Looked like the 42, a low 42 at that, 42.118. Less than a 10th off the best time so far. It's up by Taylor. Not bad at all, but still falling victim to the McLaren of Chandler, who's absolutely blistering on qualifying pace today. Port retires from 7th place. He seems to be safe as well. Although I wouldn't count my chickens before they were hatched if I were him. He's just on that level where he might be safe, but he might not be. Nienford, meanwhile, going through the Fender chicane, you can be almost certain that he's going to be competitive for Q3. Not the best speed through the Fender chicane, though. Ooh, locking up into Stavolo. That is not a good place to lock your tires, and I think that's going to really hurt his momentum out onto the back straight. Bit of a scruffy left from Mean Fern, but he continues nonetheless. And into the bus stop chicane now. He seems to be a little bit conservative with his braking point, but still locks up. Still has a good line, though. Seeming to maintain speed well. And out of the corner, going once again, and up to 9th place. Ooh, Mean Fern is right on the bubble right now. There are several people who could knock him out. Phantom, Katra, Michi, maybe even Dark Ice if he can summon enough pace. Katra, meanwhile, she looked a little slow out of Stavolo. Just skipping to the Renault of Katra now. It's saying she got purple. We got a purple for a second, but at this point we know that's a goddamn lie. SRX Zizou is in here. Zizou is one of our drivers from last year in realistic tier. He's still around, but he should not be in the lobby right now, so I hope he leaves soon. Coming into the bus stop chicane. Katra going well. Looks like it's going to be a 43 of some sort. And indeed it is a 43 flat pretty much. And that's up to 7th place for Katra. Solidly into Q3 it looks like. And Mean Fern is right in the bubble now. Phantom could not improve on his time. He's done. He must have been validated or something. Phantom is now out in Q2. And he was in a similar situation with the Mercedes last year. When we came here in last season, Phantom was in the Mercedes. Teammates with Taylor as well. And he got eliminated in Q1 actually. He started 17th I believe. So he has never had very good pace right here. Michi also failing to improve. Michi is out in Q2. Dark Ice, he's improved quite a bit, but is it going to be enough? No, he's just going to be able to leapfrog Michi, and that's it. Ardell, I don't think he's going to have the pace, and he invalidates the bus stop chicane. That's going to be it for him, 14th. So Mean Fern just makes it into Q3. Wow. No, Heatwave, don't say, oh no, Mean Fern. Heatwave. He is in. He is into Q3 officially. Both McLarens are into the final qualifying session. Mean Fern just scraping by. For all the memes we've made about how slow Mean Fern was in the Mercedes this year, he's still Michael Schumacher. He might as well be Michael Schumacher compared to Phantom from last season, who was all over the place. And Phantom still showing that his pace is not the best. Certainly not the best, as he doesn't even make Q3 in the Red Bull. I'm sensing some Alex Albon vibes there. So here are your eliminations. Phantom in the Red Bull, Dark Ice and Ardell, the last remaining Haas's and Williams cars, and the last Ferrari of Michi, all being eliminated. So Ferrari, Haas, Williams, they will not be represented in this session, but both Mercs, both McLarens, both Renaults, and both AlphaTauris in there, along with one Racing Point and one Red Bull. It's looking like every position really up to around 4th place is up for grabs right now for the midfield due to FinFan's absence and Phantom's elimination. It's looking like there could be some spectacular qualifying performances available for drivers like Katra and Mean Fern and others who are willing to take advantage of the situation. As we go into Q3 now, the final fight for pole. By the way, about the medium gamble, it doesn't look like anyone's stuck with the medium tire strategy. Which makes sense. Again, it's not very popular in Belgium because it's not as much of an advantage around here. See who's going to be out onto the track first. One of the McLarens, it looks like. Most likely Chandler. Yes, it is. Chandler Saita leading the field out onto the track again for the final qualifying session of the day before we get into the race, which will be 22 laps in length. Zeno Kid mentioning Chandler was excellent in practice on his pace, so it's not a surprise that he's up there fighting for pole right now. I mean, it is surprising, Dino, when you consider that he is in like the 4th fastest car, competing with Mercedes and Red Bulls, which is it's pretty nuts. It takes a lot of skill and guts to do that. And you can tell Chandler he drove the absolute wheels off the Ferrari last weekend when he was subbing in for them to get a podium. So he really is one of the fastest guys here, if not the single fastest, I would argue. Natal comment reminding us that Goodadoo and Boskoki both stayed on the medium tires for Q2, so both of them will reap the rewards of the medium gambit during the race. So not everyone abandoned the medium gamble. I just wasn't paying attention as per usual because our conversation in the chat is so riveting. I'll quit pinging each other. Come on, Feta, Skeppy, you're better than that. Heatwave saying Alfa Romeo Total Constructors is worrying. Yes, it most definitely is. It's surprising, too, considering the Alfa Romeo is, on paper at least, better than both the Haas and the Williams. But they have struggled nonetheless. They've gotten close to points quite a lot. We had an absolutely chaotic race at Silverstone a couple weeks ago, and they were running 8th and 9th for a while, the two Alphas. But even then, they had to pit late and couldn't get it done, couldn't seal the deal. Close but no cigar has been their story this season, really. Skeppy saying I'm trying to play daddy. I'm just trying to keep the chat clear of spam, Skep. Come on. As long as I'm commentating the stream and I'm running the stream, I am daddy. So yeah, don't put useless stuff in the chat, please. And that goes for all of you. Heatwave says I meant the whole of BRL. Yeah. Oh yeah, Heatwave. I don't discuss the Combined Constructors Championship because it hasn't been requested. In fact, people have actively cautioned against me discussing it. But what is the state of Alfa Romeo and the Combined Constructors right now? Meanwhile, Chandler on a flying lap right now. Everyone on a flying lap right now except for Ashiko and Boss Cookie. Neymar is about to start his. We're riding on board with Chandler for now through Pouan. Very squirrely. He went a little bit too far to the outside on the entry to Pouan and might have put a wheel on the grass there. Kicked his tail out a little bit, but he is nonetheless continuing. I don't think he lost too much time from that. Going to the fence chicane. Ooh, masterful line through there. Very graceful. Through Stavolo, taking a bit of curb. Great stuff from Chandler. Looking very poised right now. Now down the back straight. Approaching Blanchimont. Heatwave saying Alpha is literally dog because tiers 1, 2, and 3 are bad. Yeah, it seems like that. Heatwave saying except for me in tier 3. Well, isn't that a conflict of interest, Heatwave? I will say. 42-0 for Chandler. Roughly equal to the fastest times we've seen so far in Q1 and Q2. Chandler could legitimately be a shoo-in for pole. Taylor can't keep up. Taylor got a 1:42.1. About a tenth and a half off the pace. So he's not quite able to cut the muster. Goodadoo pits. I think Goodadoo invalidated his time. Meanford goes up to third with a 42.9. Not competitive at all with Chandler, but still pretty decent. He's about where you'd expect the McLaren to be at the moment on pace. Balbina getting a 43.0. Contra getting a 42.9. So Meanford becomes the meat in the Renault sandwich, it seems. Port taking 6. It seems like he can't quite replicate his pace from the first two sessions yet with a 43.3. Currently the slowest of all times. let's see how Neymar's getting on. He's on the back straight right now. He's the only one left on a flying lap as Ashigo and Boss Cookie have just left the pits, and Gududu bailed out on his. Feta saying Chandler is the Fernando Alonso of McLaren. I gotta agree with that, actually, because Fernando Alonso was always known for taking crappy cars and putting them up to a place where they had no right to be. And that's exactly what's going on with the McLaren here. Neymar gets a 43-0, just behind Babina, but still beating out his teammate for the day, a port by about 3/10. Quite a sizable margin, I must say. I believe the next driver to start a lap is going to be Ashigo. So we'll take a look at him. Fernando Sato won, yes. Actually, that has a nice ring to it, Feta. I will say that much. Chalonzo won. Yeah, that works too, Scap. Honestly, I prefer Fernando Sato. I think that's the better one. Feta Cheese saying Fern is Stoffel Van Doren. No, Feta, here's the thing. Stoffel Van Doren actually has, enough talent to be in Formula One. Meadford is like the equivalent of Nikita Mazepin, honestly. He just doesn't quite have it, in my honest opinion. He's simply not been able to compete with his teammate in any car, at any race, at any point in the season. And it's really shown through. I mean, actually, he was roughly on pace with Gududu in the early part of the season, but Gududu has improved meteorically up to where he actually should be, while Fern has just kind of stayed in place, honestly. He's been really inconsistent, and he's paid for it now by getting booted from Mercedes. Meanwhile, we're riding aboard the Shigo right now through Lake Combe Chicane, and it's actually looking a bit overcast now. Look at this, the clouds have rolled in, and it's getting darker. Could we have rain at the end of Q3? Hold on a minute. If it rains at the end of the session here, that is going to absolutely ruin Boss Cookie and Gududu, because they might not even get a chance for an actual dry lap. That's going to completely sink their qualifying. So they're going to be doing... Chandler has a legit chance to pull here. So Shigo invalidates. So Shigo invalidates his lap. That is huge. He's only going to have time for one more shot if he pits right now for new tires. I bet Chandler's doing the rain dance right now, and both the Mercedes guys are doing the anti-rain dance, I suppose, whatever that may be. Maybe it's the hokey pokey. I'm not entirely sure on that. Ardell saying hold up rain. No, not quite, Ardell. Not quite. We're not there yet, but we are very close all of a sudden. Things got dark very quickly here in Q3. And we could have something very soon. No, it's not raining yet, Skeppy. Quit exacerbating those lies. No. Propaganda. You're North Korean. Stop it, Kim Jong-un. Anyway, Gududu on a lap right now. Taking a break from the distractions of the chat. Gududu going through Rivage right now. Wallman rejoining the session after he apparently disconnected. Gududu going well so far. Nearly invalidating there at the exit of No Name. Really pushing the boundaries of the track limits, but that is what he signed up to do. Through Puan now, looking good, on form. Can he get pole again for the third time in 4 races? Still looking pretty smooth, going through Stavolo now. Ooh, again, oh, he invalidated! Just going a millimeter too wide of the exit of Stavolo. As soon as I saw that, I knew. Ooh, he is done. Gududu and Ashigo, both the Mercedes drivers failing to put times on the board with just 3 minutes left in the session. Absolute disaster. Absolute disaster for the silver arrows that are actually black arrows. Ooh, Gududu smacks the wall coming into the pit lane for good measure. It is going to be close to get him back out on track, especially with the rain looming. The threat of rain is still there. It is very overcast right now. If it starts raining, Mercedes is done. They are done. They're starting 9th to 10th, period. End of story. Boss Cookie on an outlap right now. He just came out of the pits. This is going to be his last chance, it looks like, to set a flying lap time. Dark Eye saying Merc finally at the back. Going to get them turn 1. Haas... Oh, so wait a minute. A Haas driver trying to take out a Mercedes driver into turn 1. Are you saying you're going to Folk smash them, Mr. Dark Eyes? Seems like a very naughty thing to do. But hey, I'm not going to limit you. If you want a 20-second time penalty, that's fine by me. And let's see. Is Babina on a flying lap right now? Let's take a look. Oh, he is. Balbina's transitioned it straight into another flying lap. Either that or he went out earlier than most of the rest of the drivers. Yeah, Balbina's leading the charge right now for the final laps. This is the calm before the storm is over in more ways than one. The final lap for everyone now, pretty much everybody. It has begun. It is crunch time. And we're about to see everyone pull their pants down and see what they've got, as Christian Horner would say. Bailey heading through Pone right now. I'm just going to call him Bailey. Balbina is very awkward to pronounce time and time again, so we're just going to call him Bailey. Heading through the fence chicane now, looking smooth so far, but he's going to need a lot to improve on his previous time. A 43.0 is very good by Renault standards, I will say that. Ooh, but he's improved by 3/10. He's 3/10 up on his time. And as of right now, that'll put him ahead of Katra for third. Balbina on his debut in realistic tier, or Bailey rather, possibly getting a top 3 on his debut. Very impressive indeed. Chandler setting the fastest lap with a 141.6. He's really flying now. The McLaren driver knows he's got a chance of pole, and he is taking it. Bailey, meanwhile, up the start-finish line, 42.6, and that is third place. Well done to Bailey. My gosh. All right, who's going to be next? It's going to be one of the AlphaTauris coming across the line next. It's going to be unsighted port. What can he do? The reserved AlphaTauri looking to go up higher. It's going to be fourth place for him. Who's next? The McLaren of Meanford, it looks like. Yep, Meanford coming up to the line now. He's just barely improved on his previous time. It's going to be 1/10 improvement up to fifth place for the McLaren. Next up, Goodadoo. He's actually just starting a lap. Neymar coming to the bus stop chicane now. What's his time going to be? He's improved on his time as well. Maybe 2/10 up. 2.7. Just under 3/10, so that's going to put him up to fifth place ahead of Meanford, but behind his teammate. Neymar being beaten by his reserve driver teammate. That cannot be a good look. Katra trying to improve now, and Katra seems to have made a mistake. A major one at that, because she has just completely bottled that lap, and Katra won't improve. As Mercedes cars get times in now, she could be knocked down to P10. Boss took him to second place, 41.7. He delivers right at the buzzer. Taylor gets pole position. Taylor gets pole position with a 41.6 flat right at the end. Chandler's dreams of pole are being dashed right in front of him. It looks like Goodadoo on a flying lap right now. Ishigo's already done. Ishigo couldn't get to the line in time. Ishigo's going to be starting from 10th place, it looks like, as long as Goodadoo doesn't screw anything up. Goodadoo coming through the fence chicane now. He's going to be able to finish his lap, but it's now or never for ARS Goodadoo. If he wants pole position for the third time in 4 races, he has got to step on it right now and beat Taylor. A 13.5. I'm not sure how that stacks up against Taylor exactly, but we're going to see. We're about to find out as he goes down the back straight, thundering through Blanchimont. As of right now, he's just a few hundred meters away from the line. What can Goodadoo manage here? As McLaren's pole chances are disintegrating in front of them, and Mercedes and Red Bull, the usual competitors, are battling it out. What is it going to be for Goodadoo? It's going to be a 41.667. He can't quite get it done. Goodadoo will have to settle for second place. Chandler's final lap has been ruined, so he can't do any better than third. Neymar appears to have bailed down on his current lap. Yes, he has, so he'll be sticking with 7th. And DXD Ishigo on his Mercedes debut after such a good performance in the first 2 sessions is going to be out at 10th place in Q3 with no time set. What a story. And Taylor celebrating in chat. That is pole position. My gosh. Katra, Meanford, Ishigo, Neymar, I think they all just completely choked on their last laps. They didn't take advantage of the opportunities that they were given. And as such, they are starting much lower than I'm sure they would like to. Taylor first on pole. Goodadoo joining him on the front row. He could still send it into turn 1 and potentially get first place right at the start of things. But it's going to be demanding. Chandler third. Excellent performance from him. Boss Cookie fourth. Bailey fifth on debut. Very well done to him. Port 6. Neymar 7th. AlphaTauri getting an excellent performance as usual. Then Meanford, Katra, and Ishigo. Taylor saying, I put a Red Bull on pole at a power track. Yes, you did, Taylor. That was very impressive. I will say, I thought Goodadoo was going to smoke you there right at the end. No, oh, and it's raining. Look at that, the droplets on the halo. It started raining right at the death of the session. My gosh, Goody-Doo is so lucky. Goody-Doo is so lucky that he got that time in. Wow. What fine margins here. And that is your top 10 starting grid. Taylor on pole. Wow. Wow. My gosh. But I believe actually Goody-Doo probably won't be able to get the jump into turn 1 because he's starting on the medium tires. He used the mediums during Q2. So he's going to be a little bit lacking in grip. Same thing with Boss Cookie. That could actually give Chandler a chance here to go up to second or maybe even take the lead. We'll have to see. And of course, it also depends on the conditions. It might actually start raining here for the race, and in which case, Goody-Doo and Cookie used mediums in Q2 for nothing. Everything shall be revealed in just a moment. Taylor saying P5 by the time I get to the end of the straight, calling it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, Taylor. The Honda engine in this game is dog crap. It is absolutely underrated, but it is still the worst, even if it's not conducive to real life. So you can't really be surprised if that happens. Ooh, Voja's disconnected. Let's try and get him back in here. Wait a minute. Why is Zizou on the grid? Hold on a minute. Hold on just a gosh darn minute. Zizou is not supposed to be here. He's joined late. Ah, crud. That might have been what knocked Waman out in Q1, actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, we're on the grid right now. The drivers will be taking this opportunity to get their setups refined, make some last-minute tweaks maybe on the front end of the car, settle in their tire strategy. It does look like it'll be a dry race here. So the rain in Q3 was somewhat of a psych out, although we could still get it later in the race. There is time in these 22 laps. It is the longest lap on the calendar, after all, 7 kilometers. Oh, Taylor's clarifying that Zizou is actually reserving for FinFin and that this was planned. So Racing Point will have a second driver after all. Zizou is a decent driver. We've seen that time and again in different tiers, including realistic. So he should be a reliable source of action today, but he is starting from the rear, so that will be a serious disadvantage. Disable lapped out. I get the telemetry up, and here we go for the start of the formation lap. As you can see, Cookie and Goody-Doo starting on the medium tires. It seems like everyone outside the top 10 has opted for the traditional 10-lap soft strategy, except for Dark Ice in 12th, Taranya in 18th, and Zizou at the very back. All of them are taking risks, it looks like, with the mediums. We'll have to see. The mediums can usually make it a maximum of 15 or 16 laps before they just completely go off a cliff, although most drivers will only stretch them about 12 laps during a traditional stint. So watch out for that. Xeno Kid saying there's going to be 20 people. Holy moly, madness. Yes, I can attest to that, Xeno. Last season as well, during Realistic, at this track, we had a full grid, and turn 1 was just kind of terrible. Like, it was basically Spa 2019 from real life. Yeah, the first turn at this track is not the best when you have a full grid, especially in the F1 game, which of course is notoriously collision heavy. At least in open lobbies, which are pretty much the wild, wild west. In league racing, it is a little bit more civilized, but things are still bound to happen. Sometimes. So we'll have to see how well these guys cope with the chaos on the run in turn 1. Again, there are quite a few reserve drivers here today. Wallman, Zach, Swanson, Zizou. Who else? Mean Fern as well. Chandler, a lot of people, not Chandler, but Mean Fern. A lot of people here not really used to the cars, perhaps not used to the realistic performance of whatever car they're in. Phantom as well. So there's going to be a lot of people maybe a little bit lacking in experience or a little bit rusty, and that could contribute to some serious incidents early on here, even if we don't have rain. Now then, Xeno Kid saying, I'm expecting the same thing then, Keck W. Yeah, I am not surprised about that. Oh yeah, speaking of Keck W, the guy who was actually in that video, El Recitas, I believe his name was, he died recently. So, that is quite unfortunate, but his face will live on in American meme culture, I'm sure. And it shall be awesome. Also saying, no way Tier 2 will ever get a full grid lull. Well, that's because they didn't select me as a commentator, obviously. I actually had my eye on the Tier 2 spot for commentary at the end of last season. I subbed in a lot for FinFan, who was away for a while. And I was hoping to take it over for this season, but I got realistic instead, and that's just as fun. 5 red lights here for the Belgian Grand Prix, and away we go. And it looks like a pretty good start for Taylor Klein. Yep, he's going to pull ahead of Gudido on the medium. The Chandler's at the inside on the softs. McLaren side by side with Mercedes for 2nd place into turn number 1. It's actually looking pretty civilized so far. Not too many collisions. Chandler looking to be ahead of Gudido out of the first corner. Yep, he's going to push him out into Eau Rouge. Gudido's going to be forced to fall back. Taylor Klein already up in the lead though. Got decent advantage already as everyone goes up the hill. Some people extending track limits a little bit off of Radion. Gudido and Boss Cookie both going wide. Let's see how they do into Lake Comp. Riding on board with Boss Cookie. Gudido having a little look at Chandler, but he's going to be too far back and he's not going to have the grip anyway. Outside of Port behind him, looking very keenly at the back of Boss Cookie. He's struggling a little bit through Lake Comp, but Port getting a little bit squirrely out of Malmedy. And Ron Swanson's already out. And the VSC has been thrown. What happened to Ron Swanson? The reserve driver in the Williams today, filling in for Stenner, already out. And I am not entirely sure why. Either way, the VSC has been thrown, so the race will be neutralized. Everyone will conform to an identical delta pace. So everything is pretty much frozen in place. My gosh, so close to Skep. Yeah, that was really nail-biting between Gudido and Chandler especially. And the race is up. The VSC is over now. Race has resumed, and we're going to go up to Chandler now. Riding on board with him. He's already gapped Gudido a decent way, but Taylor is just flying up the road. Taylor is not down to P5 at the end of Kimmel Straight, as he predicted that they might be. He is well into first place, perhaps because of the fight between Chandler and Gudido, holding everyone up. Meanwhile, Ishigo trying to make his way through the field. He has to lift up a little bit. They have to check up behind Blanchimont, behind Neymar. Ishigo already making up 3 positions on the first lap. Not bad at all. Forcing a lockup from Neymar into the bus stop chicane. Neymar having to pit, actually. I think Neymar suffered from wing damage. Yeah, he most likely has. Why else would he be pitting this early? So that's a free position for Ishigo, who's now going to be chasing after unsighted Port, who's right on the back of ARS Gudido. Who actually, looks like Port's disconnected. Hold on a minute. Yeah, he has. I am not entirely sure what's gone on there, but we're going to invite him back either way. Oh no, it still says he's in the game, never mind. Oh, he was just ghosted for a minute, I'm not sure why. Maybe a bad connection, but Port is still here. So we're all good. Boss Cookie and Gudido, meanwhile, really nose to tail at the moment. No, Phantom is not the race leader, that's a scoreboard glitch, ignore that. Cookie 4th, Gudido 3rd right now. Cookie locking up hard into Rivage, that could give Ishigo a bit of an opening. Or Port, rather. Ishigo's still not close enough. Very close right now. Gudido pulling ahead a little bit through Pouan. Looks like he has a bit more grip right now than Boss Cookie. Maybe a bit more aerodynamic grip thanks to the superior Mercedes. Ishigo not really making an impression on Cookie and Gudido just yet. He's gained by about 2/10 on this lap so far, but that's not going to be nearly enough to catch up in any sort of decent amount of time. BRT Wallman, meanwhile, starting 15th. He's already up to P9 after the chaos into turn 1 in the midfield. Not bad at all for the Alfa Romeo driver, currently running in the points. Could a reserve driver in the form of Wallman give the team its first points of the season? Potentially. But the former Alfa Romeo driver, Michi, in the Ferrari SF1000, trying to get past the Alfa Romeo right now. Started in front of him, he's now behind him. What can Michi do here from his current position? Chandler setting the fastest lap of the race. He's just continuing to push the advantage on Taylor. Or Chandler, rather. I always get Taylor and Chandler confused, so I'm sorry. But actually, Chandler is starting to catch up a little bit. He's about 6/10 behind. He's pulling him in a little bit. Now at the start of lap 3, DRS has been enabled. The drag reduction system, the opening in the rear wing that you get when you're within a second of the car in front, that is activated now. Taylor won't have it. Chandler will, so we could have a change for the lead right now. McLaren could be taking the lead of the race here. No, he's not going to be close enough. Chandler can have a look, but he can't really make a move. Into Lake Como, he's going to have to stay in line, but we have a real battle for the lead on our hands here, and it is not between a Mercedes and a Red Bull. It is not between 2 Red Bulls. It is between a Red Bull and a McLaren.
Would you look at that? Port, meanwhile, right behind Boss Cookie now. The AlphaTauri seeming to keep pace with the Racing Point surprisingly well, locking up hard into Rivage, though, just like Boss Cookie did last lap. And Ishigo, the gap seems to be expanding now between him and the top 5. I'm not sure why. Ishigo just doesn't seem to have the pace right now compared to the leaders, and especially his teammate Gudadu. Bitchy getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits warnings. I should mention Belgium can be somewhat punishing with track limits, but only if you get lazy. Generally speaking, Spa is not the worst. It's not draconian like, say, Austria or Monaco or something like that, or Hungary, but it can still be very difficult. So watch for that. Michi's already fallen victim to it. He could fall victim to it yet again later in the race. We'll see. SRX Zizu, meanwhile, the late joining reserve for the Racing Point team is already at the 13th. He's gained 7 positions in the first 3 laps of the race. Very respectable. And now he's on the back of a few backmarker cars. Zach the Beast and BRL Ardell, both in slower machinery. You should be able to make light work of them, even on the medium tires. I suspect he'll be done with them before the end of the Kemmel Straight that's coming up. Looking very aggressive right now, really on the attack. Michi pits. What's happened to Michi? Does he have front wing damage? He might have been involved in a collision with Waman. I'm not entirely sure. He was trying to overtake him pretty hard there. Yes, he's missing an end plate on the right-hand side, and he has a 5-second penalty for a collision with Swanson, I believe. Yeah, to answer your guys' questions, I think it was Swanson and Michi that came together, because I saw Michi got a 5-second penalty right as the VSC started. So Michi serving his penalty, changing a wing, and he's changing his strategy too. Going onto the hard compound tires. The hards can potentially go the entire race distance at this track. It seems that some people are trying to take advantage of that. Neymar's pitted as well. I think Neymar might have had some damage also. Neymar pitted, Dark Eyes pitted, Bailey pitted. Michi coming out of the pits right behind Bailey, but with not a lot of momentum to show, so he's going to be in dead last. So a lot of people changing their strategy. I'm not sure if all of them had front wing damage, but either way, all of them are now on the hard tires, and all of them will be able to go to the end of the race, regardless of what happens with safety cars and whatnot. Ooh, Dark Eyes trying to make a move on Bailey. Not going to work out, though. Oh no, I believe it was Bailey actually making a move on Dark Eyes, because I remember Bailey was the car behind coming out of La Source as Michi was exiting the pits. So it was the Renault making a move on the Haas, not the other way around, my bad. Now going back further up the field, SRX Zizu up to 12th now, still trying to chase down Zach the Beast. I was wrong, he couldn't quite get past him on the Kemmel Straight, but he is still right behind him. But Ardell in 10th, Zach the Beast at 11th, they can't match the pace of VRT Waman and the rest of the top 10. As you can see, Ardell's already 3.5 seconds behind everyone else in the points. So the more Zizu gets stuck behind him, the more he's going to have to work later on in terms of raw pace to catch up. Chandler set the fastest lap of the race, but Chandler's taking the lead. Hold on a minute. Chandler's just taking the lead. I think he did it into the bus stop chicane just now. And Zinks and Zeno both being just as surprised as I was. I wasn't focusing on the battle for the lead because I didn't think that McLaren would actually be able to overtake. But here it is. Here comes Taylor again. Here comes Taylor down the Kemmel Straight into turn number 4. And he's going to get the lead back before the braking zone. Taylor back in the lead. It could be just a DRS fight for the rest of the way here. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how their relative pace stacks up as the stint wears on for the next 6 laps or so. But it is very exciting right now. 5th lap shenanigans here at Spa. And we have a real battle for the lead on our hands with a very unexpected competitor. And Ishigo, meanwhile, has gotten past Unsighted Port for 5th place. I was mentioning earlier that Ishigo wasn't really catching up to the top 5. Well, he hasn't. He hasn't caught up to the top 4, but Port has fallen behind the top 4. And it seems that has allowed Ishigo to catch up and overtake for 5th place. And now Ishigo needs to leverage his superior tires while he can. The softs are still faster than the mediums at this stage, but they won't be for much longer. I believe lap 8 or thereabouts is where the mediums and softs cross over, and the mediums become faster than softs of the same age. Ardo getting a 3-second time penalty for warnings. And Gudadu really being caught up to now by his teammate Ishigo. Let's see how this goes. It's not going to be close enough for moving to the bus stop. It's not quite a battle yet. Boss Cookie kind of in a land of his own right now in 3rd. Gudadu's not close enough to be a threat, but he's not close enough to Taylor and Chandler to really get involved in that battle. Taylor's heading to the fastest lap of the race now, out in front, but Chandler is still right there in the McLaren. He could make another move on the Kemmel Straight as to go down the hill to Eau Rouge. Chandler's going to need one hell of a slipstream, but it is possible. We saw it with Taylor just last lap, and he has a worse engine than the McLaren. Up find out how it shakes out here. Chandler getting a better run. It seems off of Breakout, but just barely. Taylor breaking the slipstream on the inside. He's going to cover out the inside line. Outside of 4 getting a penalty for track limits. But Taylor can slowly drift back to the left. Chandler wasn't close enough. And I think Taylor has really secured the lead now. And now he can just leverage the Red Bull's superior handling through the middle sector to get his gap even further out. Oh, Gududu disconnected. Hold on. Gududu has just disconnected. I'm not entirely sure why that's happened, but here we go. Gududu, who was running in third, is now in need of some help, and I will give it to him. Done. Gududu, you've got your lobby invite. Get back in there. Sorry for the inconvenience. Gududu falling back down to 6th now as he's been passed by unsighted Port, and Katra is not far behind in the Renault. This is disastrous for Gududu. He cannot afford to waste this kind of time with disconnections. Well, SRX Zizou has now dispatched Zach the Beast for 11th place and is up to the back of Ardell for the final points-paying position here, 10th place. But the gap between Waman and Ardell are just falling further and further behind the rest of the point scorers. From 8th on up, that's the upper midfield leader group. So Zizou really needs to clear the remaining Williams and Alfa Romeo. Otherwise, he's going to be in for a really bad time in the rest of the race. He's not going to be able to go much higher than 9th otherwise. Let's see, he's on the back straight. He's right behind the Williams now. Will he try to move into the bus stop chicane? Perhaps. He is close enough. Staunch defending from Ardell. Tough but fair. But Zizou on the outside. There's a bit of contact, but he's not quite going to get it done. Ardell defending for all his life here. Yeah, Echo, I didn't see it because I don't think there was any sort of banner that came up on the bottom of my screen like there normally is when someone disconnects. I mean, I saw Gududu ghosted, but I assumed that he wasn't actually in AI mode because I saw Unsighted Port ghosted earlier in the first couple of laps, and he never actually left the session. He was just suffering from a bad connection or something. Here's a move down from Zizou. Zizou on the Camel Straight. Down the inside on a very narrow corridor, and he's going to get it done. Into 10th place goes SRX Zizou on his recovery drive from P20. Does not seem to care at all that he missed qualifying. He is going up the order either way. Does not matter at all where he started. What matters is where you finish around here. There are no points for qualifying in F1. Meanwhile, Meanford now catching up to the ghosted era as Gududu. Gududu still hasn't rejoined. And he's just falling further and further back, and it really is painful to watch. As he's now falling behind the Nikita Mazepin of this lobby, Meanfern. There we go, he's rejoined the session, but is it going to be enough to defend from Meanfern? I don't think it is. Meanfern's going to get past before he can rejoin and actually take control of his car. And Chandler's actually retaking the lead. Hold on a minute. Chandler is just retaking the lead down the back straight of the bus stop. And they're both pitting. Why are they both pitting? Hold on a minute. Normally, the regular pit lap around here is lap 10. You want to go from the softs to the mediums on lap 10. But no, it looks like these guys are coming in early, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe they're trying to protect from the undercut with each other, and they actually both ended up going in. Very interesting dynamic here between the two race leaders. Chandler and Taylor battling it out, and Chandler seems to be the one with the upper hand right now. My gosh. This is some absolutely crazy stuff here. Boss Cookie's out. Hold on a minute. What has just happened here? Eau Rouge. No, tougher Radion. That's Radion, actually. Oh my gosh. Boss Cookie is out. What has happened there? VSC deployed. What? Must have gotten squirrely up the hill. Maybe he put a wheel on the grass. Whoa. The man who was just running in third place, podium position, an easy podium position too, a very comfortable one, has just been taken out of the race by no one other than himself. My gosh. And that has really turned the race on its head. Well, it's the race for the podium position. Gududu is now back in the race, by the way. He is back. He's currently in a net 5th place. So there are 2 people right behind him who pitted. I suppose a net 6, technically, if you count Shigo as well. So Gududu will resume his pursuit of Meanford now. He should be able to get past Meanford in a pretty short order, considering Meanford's pace and car right now. His former teammate over at Mercedes. Unsighted Port, actually, in the AlphaTauri, currently leading the race. Really unusual stuff there. But he does still have to pit, and I suspect he will pretty soon. We could expect him in as soon as this lap, because of course the regular pit lap, as I mentioned, is lap 10, but now these guys all have to protect against the undercut as much as possible. And you see Port's coming in, Fern's coming in. Gudu's staying out, of course, because he's on the mediums and he's supposed to go long. Wahman's in as well. All the soft roads coming in a little bit early. And that is it for the soft tires. Mediums going on now. And Chandler inheriting almost the net lead of the race. He's a couple of seconds behind Gudu right now. That's basically the thing. Gudu has already fallen to a pit stop behind Chandler because of that disconnection. Well, look at this. Taylor right on the back of the McLaren. He could pass again on the Kemmel straight for the lead here. I know that's a very easy one with DRS and ERS. He's got more battery to work with. He's got a better chassis. And there he goes, back up into the lead. Taylor takes the upper hand once again. But Gudu could actually play into this fight a little bit between Taylor and Chandler. Now that I think about it, he could hold up both of them potentially. Because he has no obligation to move over and just let them by. He is not a lap car. He is in the actual lead of the race. So potentially Taylor and Chandler, depending on how quickly and where they encounter Gudu, how quickly they get past him, that could decide the lead of the race for quite a while, and that could even knock one out of DRS range of the other, potentially. We'll have to see how that unfolds. It hasn't happened yet. They're not close enough yet to really put Gudu into play, but they will be very soon. At the rate they're catching him right now, it's about a second a lap. So it will be in play before Gudu comes into the pits, most certainly. Interesting stuff here. Interesting stuff. Meanwhile, further back, let's see what else is going on. SRX Zizou is now within striking distance of Ishigo, but he still has to pit, so that is not really a net battle. Contra going well. Ed Taranya going well, but still has to pit. Unsighted Port currently in 8th, Mean for 9th. Phantom still needs to pit most definitely, but it looks like he's actually disconnected. Yeah, Phantom seems to be disconnected from the session, so we're going to give him an invite just in case. Come on, load up. And here we go. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's happened to him. But either way, I've given him an invite. Not much more we can do right now. Oh, meanwhile, unsighted Port right on the back. No, that Taranya, who again is yet to pit onto the new tires in the Ferrari. He's going along on the mediums. So Port should have a pretty easy job here. And yes, he will. Up into 7th place for the AlphaTauri driver. That was no contest whatsoever. As we approach half distance now in this Belgian Grand Prix. Things are shaking out things are just starting to shake out now after the first round of pit stops. And look at this, they're right on the back of Gudu now. Taylor and Chandler are both right on the back of ARS Gudu. And Taylor has really approached the back of him at a very inopportune time in the middle sector where there are no obvious overtaking opportunities. Chandler seems to be losing a bit of grip right now on the medium tires already. I'm not sure why. He seems to be sliding around in the middle sector. Maybe he's running a lower downforce setup to keep up on the straights. But Taylor, if he doesn't get past Gudu in very short order here, and Gudu will fight it, I assure you, then Chandler could seize the upper hand once again. The battle for the lead is by no means over. Is he going to send into the bus stop chicane? No, he's going to be too far back. I'm sure he wishes he could, but he cannot. The fact remains. Could he get him into the last source with DRS? It's rare, but it can happen. He is pretty close. Zeno complaining about how the Ferrari car is so bad on the straights. Yeah, Zeno, I think the main reason for that is because in the performance patch last October, they didn't really nerf the Ferrari engine power as much as they did its drag. It is much more draggy than before. It pushes up against the air a lot more. As Taylor now gets past Gudu on the couple straight, but will Chandler be able to do the same? And that's the main way in which they put the Ferrari back down to its normal standards. So Chandler going for a very aggressive movement to lay calm. He can't quite do it. He's still behind Gudu. Taylor is passed. Taylor is clear of the Mercedes. The McLaren is not. That could have decided the battle for the win right there. Potentially, Taylor locking up big time into Rivage, but so does Gudu, and therefore Chandler has to check up. And that might have just turned the battle for the lead on its head. Taylor could be in the clear now. It depends on how long Chandler remains behind Gudu, but he's already fallen outside the 1 second range. He's already lost DRS, and Gudidu is soon to lose DRS to Taylor as well. So potentially the race might have just been decided by this Mercedes, who's disconnected and is now basically traffic for the pit stoppers to get through. Would you look at that? Taylor going to have a 3-second time penalty now. Ooh, Taylor, the race leader, with a penalty, and that is going to really hurt him. 3-second time penalty for multiple track limits warning. I think he just went a little bit wide of Stavolo there, like we saw Ashiko do at the end of qualifying. And that could really hurt his race. Chandler is not one who gets penalties very easily, so he could potentially get some traction out of that. But looks like Chandler will get past Gudidu here on the Kimmel Straight on this next lap. He is close enough. He is much closer than he was last lap. And he doesn't have a Red Bull in the way either, as we are past half distance now in this race. Chandler desperately needs to get past Gudidu. He can do it, but will he do it? That is the question. Gino saying, I want to note that Ashiko is a net P3. Yeah, that is true. After Cookie, it was a bit jumbled because of the pit stop period, but Cookie's retirement does show that Ashiko has inherited the final podium position, so we could potentially be looking at a double podium for Mercedes if Gudidu can catch up here and get his act together, but I don't think he will. He's just lost too much time from that disconnection, and now he's a full pit stop behind the leaders. If he does get a podium, he'll probably steal it from Ashiko, which would still be just a single podium for the team. On the right side, though, because of Cookie's retirement, Mercedes won't lose any ground to Racing Point and the constructors because they're off the podium with one car. In fact, they will most likely expand their advantage because Zizou, although he's in 5th right now, he still has yet to pit. So Racing Point not in a very good spot now since Zizou and Cookie have both had major woes. That could be the final nail in the coffin for Racing Point's battle for P2 in the Constructors' Championship. In the meantime, Chandler still hasn't gotten past Gudidu, by the way. Chandler is really in trouble now as the gap between him and Taylor is up to about 2 seconds now. Even though Taylor has that penalty, he has better pace right now because he's just in that clear air. He's just in a place where he can push and push and push without having to worry about anyone in front of him, and that is really paying dividends. Chandler, the F1 esports driver, simply can't really deal with the Mercedes here. Gudidu has too good of a straight line car under him. The Mercedes is the fastest car in a straight line in this game. Best engine, best aerodynamics, lowest drag. And it's showing through. The McLaren simply can't do anything. He's helpless right now. Gudidu may not be as fast as Chandler on raw pace, but he is no slouch. Gudidu is no slouch, and he's in a better car. And that's what's contributing to the holdup here. And Taylor could potentially get outside the 3-second range very soon here. But, oh, Chandler's going to make a move. Chandler's going to make a move. And he's up into 2nd place. There we go. He's finally past Gudidu, but he's lost a ton of time. He's lost a ton of time to the leader, Taylor. And that could be race deciding. We'll just have to see. How many warnings is Taylor running on right now, or Chandler, rather? Chandler's only got 1 warning, to be fair to him. He's been very well behaved so far. So if he is able to avoid penalties for the rest of the race, which will be difficult in the face of tire wear, but it's still possible. If he avoids the penalties, then he could still have a real chance of winning this race for McLaren, which would be absolutely huge for the team. Chandler's now a full-time driver, not a reserve, for McLaren, so the team will get full points for this victory. And how would that affect their position in the Constructors as of right now? Let's find out. Yeah, that would put McLaren back in a position to fight with AlphaTauri for 4th. That would make sure that a real battle for 4th is indeed on our hands. Now then, let's get back to the racing action itself. Taylor's still out front now, still gapping Chandler because he's lost the DRS. Will he continue to do that? Can he keep his pace up in the face of such pressure from such a seasoned driver? We'll have to see how that unfolds. In the meantime, Katja really catching up to SRX Zizou now, is still yet to pit. Oh, and there it goes, just as I say that. Zizou comes into the pit lane, finally, to pit off the medium tires. Gudidu's coming in as well, onto the hards. Why has he done that? The softs can easily make it 10 laps around here. It looks like Gudidu has decided to forego that. And I'm not entirely sure why. Yeah, Zizou's putting softs on. That's the right decision. It's not like Gudidu needs to satisfy the 2 compound requirement. He started on medium, so whether he does softs or hards, he'll still satisfy that. I am really not sure why Gudidu has done that. I think he's just shot himself in the foot, honestly. But given his current position, he should still be able to battle back and potentially go up to 5th or 4th place. Meanfern very close ahead of him. Unsighted Port a little bit farther up the road, but he's in a much slower car. And it's the same situation with Heikacha. So we'll have to see how quickly and how much Gudidu can progress up the grid. And we'll come back to that a little bit later. In the meantime, let's take a look again at the battle between Chandler and Taylor. And actually, Taylor is expanding his gap further. He's gotten about 2 more tenths since we last checked on him about a lap ago. Big Shooter 229 saying softs can make it 7 to 8 laps. No, that is not true, Big Shooter. You saw everyone pitting on laps 7 and 8 earlier today, or earlier in the race, but that's just responding to the undercuts from Chandler and Taylor. They can go 10 laps. The game usually recommends that you take them 10 laps on this track, just like they do at Silverstone. Yeah, even if you've gotten a lap on them already from qualifying. I know that from experience. All the drivers here know that from experience, or should know it anyway. So I wonder why Gudidu has decided to go for hards. That's just going to hurt his pace for the rest of the Grand Prix. He's only going to have an advantage really at the very end of proceedings when the medium runners are super worn out. But nonetheless, Gudidu has really done a great job of catching up to Meanfern in a quick manner here. Don't think he's going to get past into turn 1 into La Source. That is a very rare move, as I said before. He should get by pretty easily on the Kemmel Straight if the fight between these two teammates, Gudidu and Chandler, was any indication. The Mercedes should handily outclass the McLaren Renault. And you're about to see that here. Gudidu up the hill, despite having less grip on the hards, he's still getting a better run through the corner. And he's already passed well before the braking zone of Lake Holm. And there we go, Gudidu up into 6th place. And he's already in a net 5th because keep in mind, Port has a penalty for track limits. Zinx Motion saying, don't mess with the God commentator who comes in with facts. Please don't worship me, Zinx. For the love of God, please don't worship me. I'm just saying, I've been in a league race or two myself. I know what it's like, and I know what the game recommends for strategy. That's all. And Gudidu already taking a decent chunk out of Unsighted Port's lead over him. He was 2.8 seconds ahead of Gudidu when Gudidu overtook Meanfern, and he's already taken about 0.8 of a second out of that lead. So we could have a change for 5th place much sooner than I anticipated here. Getting another 10th in the last few corners. The AlphaTauri already well within his field of view. So that unfolds as things continue. Zizou, after his pit stop, is down to P10, but he has to get past VRT Wallman still. Wallman and Neymar are the next 2 cars up the road. I don't think he'll get any higher than Neymar as of right now. Meanfern's just too far ahead. Although the pace difference between new softs and old mediums is quite high. Meanfern still will have just enough pace, I suspect, to keep the gap that he has right now. Or at least a smaller version of it. Down the outside, though, into the bus stop chicane. Zizou on Wallman, and Wallman backs out there, actually. Lets him out the position. He knows he cannot really put up a fight for long. And he'll just be wasting time by trying. So Bailey is in 11th right now. Keep in mind, Bailey was one of those drivers who pitted on lap 4 for hards. One of the people who got their strategies compromised early on, along with Mitchie, Dark Ice, etc. And Neymar's actually pitting. Neymar was the other one who pitted for hards really early on. And he's pitted again now onto the soft compound tires. Ooh, it's going to be close between him and Ardell. It's just going to hold him up. That was a risky move from Neymar. Oh, Ardell going up the inside. No Rouge, though. And he's going to have to back out, and that's going to lose him even more momentum. Yeah, Neymar coming out of the pits at a bad spot there. So Neymar thinking it's safer and faster to pit for the softs than stick on the slow old hards. Honestly, I would agree with him on that. Ehan7140, thank you very much for following the stream. Oh, there's contact! In Lake Holm, I was looking at the follower notification. Ardell just spun out. I think there was contact there with Neymar. And my gosh, that just ruined his race. It looks like he doesn't have any wing damage. He kept it out of the wall, which is good. But Ardell coming apart right at the end here with 5 laps to go. Not a good luck for the man who's debuting for Williams after being demoted from Renault. Wow. F's in the chat for Ardell, if you please. That's quite a hard pill to swallow for him, I'm sure. Might see that with the stewards later. Yes, Zeno, thank you for pointing that out. That is very true. Good passing to unsighted port now for 5th place. He really caught up to the Alpha tires super quickly. He was on the hard tires, and now he's going to go after Heikatra in the Renault with an uninstructed field ahead of him. I think it's going to be close between Gududu and Katra right at the end for 4th place. But the Mercedes power should be able to prevail in the end, especially as Katra's on aging medium tires. We're getting a little bit of a DRS tow off of Gududu for the Camel Straight. But in the end, it's not going to matter. Gududu is still solidly ahead. Malady now looking good for the Mercedes driver. He's already gained 3 tenths on Katra in the first sector alone. 4 tenths. 5 tenths. Wow, okay. Actually, it might not be so close between Gududu and Katra because that is a serious rate of catching already. Look at the delta and how far it's coming down already. By nearly a second since the start of this lap. In the meantime, the battle between Chandler and Taylor. Chandler is in the net lead right now. Keep in mind, Taylor has a 3-second penalty for track limits. Chandler has not gotten one yet, and I don't think he's gotten a second warning since we last checked. Let's take a look at that real quick. No, he hasn't. He's still just sitting on 1 warning. So Chandler, the supremely talented F1 esports driver, against Taylor, he could still win this. The gap's not really coming down. At least it's staying the same. As long as Chandler doesn't fall more than 3 seconds behind the Red Bull or get a penalty himself, he is good to go here. And McLaren will get their first win of the season. Which, again, will be absolutely nuts, though. Up the hill through Eau Rouge for the 18th time today. Just a few laps left to go now in this Belgian Grand Prix, and we're going to go a little bit further back to some battles going on further behind. Gududu gained a whopping 1.3 seconds on Katra at that last lap. Absolutely stellar pace from him despite the wrong tire choice. I will say it is objectively wrong. I'm sorry, Gududu, but I just have to give you that tough love. Gududu now about 2.6 seconds behind the Renault. Means we're going to get a penalty for warnings. Let's see where everyone stands in terms of penalties. Looks like everyone has kept it down to 6 seconds, or down to 3 seconds rather, except for Ed Taronia, Waman, and Dark Ice. We've all gotten a little bit more than that. Interesting situation here. Ed Taronia getting another time penalty now. He's up to 12 seconds worth of penalties. That is not good at all for him. And as of right now, that'll lose in positions to both Neymar and Zach the Beast. Not looking good for Ferrari right now. Michi is well outside the points. Ed Taronia is near the points, but he's got way too many penalties. That's just his main problem. But with Neymar's pit stop, I should mention, Bailey is now back into the points-paying positions. He's on really old tires, and he's really far behind Rahman for 9th. But he is still there, at the very least. So Bailey could still score points on debut here for Renault after an excellent qualifying performance on debut. Ardell, meanwhile, is retired at the pits. He seems to have given up on life after that particular spinala. I know my morale would be very much lowered after an incident like that. People are saying, wait, why did Blah is Gududu on hards? Yeah, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying ever since he pitted. Gududu should have gone onto the softs, but he seems to be taking the hyper-conservative route. But nonetheless, he is making it work. Let's be fair to him. He is making this work, and he's gained more than 2.5 seconds on Katra in the last two laps, which is absolutely humongous. And he'll be within DRS range next lap. And after that, who knows what's going to happen? How many penalties does Shigo have? Shigo only has 3 seconds, but if he gets another penalty, that could mean he gives up the podium to Gududu, so he's going to be under pressure now. Ardell, what do you mean? Please clarify your statement, Mr. Ardell. Now Gududu within a second. He's within 1 second range of Katra for 4th place. Yeah, Zeno, I think Ardell retired in the pits, if I remember correctly. Yes, he did. He retired in the pits after the earlier incident with Neymar. So Neymar and Ed Taronia both on softs right now. Neymar does still have a chance of points here because of the penalties in the cars ahead of him. So we'll take a look at that as well. Keep monitoring that situation. It is becoming a bit overcast actually here. I'm just noticing that again, just like in Q3, it clouded up really, really quickly here at Spa. classic Belgian weather. Classic spa weather, I suppose. But I think the clouds have come a little bit too late to sprinkle rain down upon us, as we've got less than 5 minutes left in this race now. Gonna do really close to Katja now. The gap is down to 0.6 of a second, half a second, 0.4. He's got such a good run off the corner. We're gonna ride him more with the Mercedes driver. He's gonna do it on the Camel Straight, it looks like. He has a significant advantage in terms of battery capacity. He's gonna have the DRS. Rear wing open. Katja defending the inside. But it's not gonna work. Gudu gets him before the braking zone and gets her before the gets her before the braking zone and maintains the racing line. That's what I was trying to say before I completely garbled that statement. And in the meantime, hold on a minute. I should mention the gap between the 2 leaders is actually expanding now. Last I checked, it was 1.5 seconds between Taylor and Chandler. Now it's 2.2 and expanding ever so slightly. So Taylor might be pushing right at the end here, doing a little bit of a qualifying stint here right at the end to try and get that 3-second gap. He's really pushing now, up to 2.3 seconds through the Fanion chicane alone. My gosh, look at this. Taylor is not out of it yet. He might be trying to get Chandler to push too, because if Chandler pushes harder, he's kind of in cruise control mode, I suspect, for most of this, the last few laps. But if he pushes, he's more likely to then get a penalty, maybe push the track limits a bit too much. Has Chandler gotten a second warning yet? I don't think he has, but we'll check anyway. No, he hasn't. He still hasn't. Supreme discipline from Chandler here on the track limits. Not as good discipline in terms of ERS management. He's regularly dipping below 10% now and using the overtake button anyway. He'll probably be out of battery by the end of the straight. Ooh, actually, Gudu setting the fastest lap of the race. Would you look at this? He's gotten a penalty though. Gudu has gotten a 3-second time penalty for track limits, so if he wants to get Ishigo's podium, he will have to do so on track. And I think it's a bit too far away to do that, but he will get the fastest lap of the race, it looks like. That'll be a small consolation for him. A very good recovery drive from Gudu, proving that he has grit in the face of adversity after that disconnection earlier. Yeah, Zeno mentioning that Chandler has no ERS. You are absolutely right, Zeno. Chandler's really been spending a lot of it trying to keep up with Taylor, and that might be to Taylor's gain now, because the gap is expanding even more to about 2.5 seconds now. Taylor needs a 3-second gap. He needs a little bit more, about half second, if he wants to win this race on penalties. But Chandler cannot let that happen in the last couple of laps here. Taylor might have left it too late. He might be running out of laps, but he is still making the attempt, and he is getting at the 2.6 seconds now. He only needs 4 more tenths. He only needs 4 more tenths to get the win here. It's really coming down to the wire here at Spa, and I'm loving every second of it. Coming down the back straight now. Gap is still 2.5 seconds. Chandler will pull a little bit back on the straights because the McLaren is simply faster in that department. Through the bus stop chicane, though, the Red Bull should reign supreme. Oh, oversteer for Taylor. Oversteer for Taylor. That is not going to help him at all. That just lost him a few tenths. And that might be the end of it. Last lap shenanigans here at Belgium. And I think that's going to be it. That's going to be curtains for Taylor. He just made a major mistake there out of the bus stop chicane. Big oversteer. And big time loss. That might be the end of it. Chandler in the McLaren could get a win here. We'll come back to that in a moment. Gudu continuing to reel in Ishigo. If Ishigo gets another penalty right at the end here, he could still nab the podium. We'll have to see. Gudu will most likely be within 3 seconds before the end of the race. Let's see how this unfolds. How many warnings is Ishigo sitting on? Oh, he actually has no warnings. He's gotten none since his last penalty. So I don't think Ishigo's going to get another penalty in time for this. And he is going to keep 3rd place. Unless he makes a major mistake right at the end here. Gudu will still get the fastest lap, though. I'm sure that'll be some consolation to him. And I can verify that to you, Matt Nez. Welcome to the chat, by the way. Matt NSC. My bad. Is that Matt New Zealand? Is that what you're supposed to be saying? But yes, Zeno's explanation of the tiers is correct. This is realistic performance. All our other tiers are equal, and all of them are currently open for waitlist signups. Sorry about my mic static. I can't really control that. But in the meantime, it's starting to clear up now. The clouds appear to have passed. And on penalties, by a margin of less than half a second, it looks like, Chandler in the McLaren is going to take the win, the shock win, here at Spa with Taylor in second. My gosh. And he's crashed right at the end just for the show of it. That's pretty disappointing for Red Bull. This was Taylor's big day to shine. And he has shined. He has taken the lead of the championship by 2 points because of this. But it could have been a 9-point lead potentially, a 9-point swing. And that has not quite happened. Ishigo takes third place, Katra fourth. Gududu actually is down to fifth. He must have gotten another penalty right at the end. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. I don't know what's happened to Gududu. I legitimately am stumped about that one. Maybe he got a 10-second time penalty right at the end. I'm not entirely sure. But down to sixth for him. Meanford seventh. Zizou, great recovery drive from him to eighth. Wallman ninth. That's the first points for Alfa Romeo. I should mention that is the first point scored by an Alfa Romeo driver all season. And VRT Wallman in reserve has made it happen. Babina getting the last points pay position, or Bailey rather. Ed Taranya just missing out on points. Neymar DNF'd at the end, right? I'm not sure why. Zach Dries coming in at 12th place. Mitchie just behind him in 13th on his Ferrari debut. Disappointing performance for the Australian. Dark Eyes 14th. Kind of what you'd expect from a Haas, but still a valiant effort nonetheless. And his teammate Boje is going to come in behind him. A lap down. Wow, what a race. Fighting for the lead all race long. Zizou, driver of the day. I unconditionally agree with that. Chandler puts up a great case because he won a race in the midfield car. But gaining 12 spots in the course of 22 laps, that's just ridiculous. After skipping qualifying, that is really a big respect for Zizou. Zeno saying, what happened to Gudu? I have no idea. I honestly don't know. I'm going to ask him that in the realistic Discord chat. And that is your podium 3. Oh, apparently Gududu's time was glitched by the game because he disconnected. So Gududu didn't actually get any penalties. The game just took positions away from him for no reason, and I think he's going to get 4th place after all because of that. So it'll be 4th place for Gududu, 5th for Katra, 6th for Port. Now then, let's get our podium 3 into the party here. Chandler, Taylor, and Ishigo after that stunning race. A real thriller today. And we're going to get all 3 of them into the party now. And 2 of them have already joined. Chandler and Taylor, both tick your boxes, please, while we wait for Ishigo. See if Ishigo actually gets in here. Yeah, Rhodes mentioning Alfa Romeo points. Rhodes is, of course, the Alfa Romeo team manager, so he'll be ecstatic about that. Although it's only 2 points, which means they're still quite a fair way behind Haas and Williams. Ishigo, welcome to the party. Take your box, please. Oh, can he hear us? I think he's in game chat or something. Yeah, looks like he's in game chat. Hold on. Oh, there you are, Ishigo. All right, you're not in game chat. Awesome. All right, well, what a race. Podium interviews here. As usual, we're going to go in reverse order. So 3rd, then 2nd, then 1st. We're going to start with Ishigo. So, wow, Ishigo on debut for Mercedes. First race, and really consistent, and ending in a podium finish. How do you think you did today, and do you think you could have done any better?
I'm not gonna lie. I think I did a terrible job, specifically in qualifying. Really failed the team today with only 10th place. Me and my teammate both screwed up qualifying, so I was kind of demotivated heading into the race. But made a good start, got up to 7th by the end of the first lap, and then it was just a matter of being consistent. I didn't have the pace to match the leaders, so I decided to put with them on the same lap because the softs are at like 70%, at least for me. And then after that, it was just having a clean, consistent race. And then I got the 3-second time penalty on like lap 16, and had to push to get a little bit of gap to the Renault behind of Katra. And then my teammate, obviously, I was worried about him to get in the podium, which he fully deserved with that disconnect. Such a shame, but yeah, I'll take a podium. Good race, even though I think he finished sixth on results, even though he should have finished fourth. So that's weird, but
Yeah, he'll still get fourth.
yeah, that's
There's
good.
a
So
Stewart precedent for that.
third and fourth, not the best for
Yep.
Mercedes, but could have been a lot worse.
Right. But anyway, hold on a minute. Should have made this invite only. Ardell, this is podium only. Get out of here. Okay. Oh, you already left. Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, I almost forgot Ashigo. You bottled it in Q3 and started 10th. So it's a 1-week break now, summer break after Belgium. What are you going to do over the break to improve before Monza?
Uh, Practice really. I haven't really done Monza in like 8 months, so I'll just have to practice and practice. Hopefully, get some rain. I do love some rain at Monza, but we'll see.
Yeah, that always really mixes things up at that track. Now then, Ashigo, that's all for you. You can go if you like. On to second place. Taylor. Wow. You won here in dominating fashion last
Taylor
season,
sold.
but today
Taylor sold.
it
That's all I'm gonna
seems
say. Taylor, you sold.
silent liberal. Oh, he left. Okay, wonderful. Taylor won here in dominating fashion last season, but today having a little bit of a harder time. Were you expecting Chandler's pace? Were you expecting him to be your main competitor today?
I knew Chandler's good at this track, so and the McLaren I think is a little better here than the Red Bull, so I knew he was gonna be up there competing. And honestly, getting pole at a power track in a Red Bull is always an amazing thing, and even getting second. So Chandler winning, in my opinion, wasn't a shocker. I did get a BS pen in my opinion, which then I ended up getting 2 more warnings, trying to push and pull a 3-second gap. Yeah, final P2, 2 points ahead in the championship now. So, not a bad race.
Right. Really intense at the end with penalties. But of course, 18 points. The championship gap was 16 coming into this, so you are now the championship leader. How does it feel, and do you think you'll be able to keep that in 2 weeks' time?
Monza, another power track, I don't know. Yeah, we'll probably be running about the same, besides hopefully without a cookie bin and all that. So,
Right.
hoping top 5, I guess, for next week.
Yeah, so Monza, of course, very unfavorable to the Red Bull engine, but I'm sure you'll put up a great effort nonetheless. Taylor, the new championship leader. See you next time, and you are dismissed for now, that's all. And our race winner, Chandler, in the McLaren. I mean, we knew you were rapid, but even I wasn't expecting this from you. Do you think you could have won on track, first of all?
That's
Do you have
tough.
the Did you have the pace for that?
That's a tough one because I think I had the pace to stay in the DRS with him, but with Gucci being overtaken by us, that ended up splitting Taylor and I up. So I think had that not happened, there would have been a chance because for a good few laps, Taylor was slower and he was out DRS. So I think had that not happened, there would have been a chance. But once the DRS was broken, that was it. That's why at the start I knew it was critical not to lose a spot, and I had to jump at least Gucci to get by Taylor. That was my only chance. So I think
Yeah.
there was not a chance after pit stops, but yeah.
Yeah, that did seem to be the pivotal point in the on-track battle. What do you think it was there? Was Goody just dumping ERS or but just better engine?
Yeah, well, that car is a little bit better in a straight line, his setup than car, but also
Right.
he was definitely using some ERS. I had to go at him when Taylor passed him, but I was just a little too far back. Well, pit window is 7 to 8 usually, and ideally I would have wanted to go to 8. It doesn't really matter. 7, 8, it's about the same. But I went 7 definitely because I was in front of Taylor. I knew I had to get in front of him to pit, otherwise I would have fallen back with how the pits works. I would have dropped to a second half behind him, 2 seconds even possibly. So I had to get in front of him, and I was in front of him. And so I knew just because he was right on me, I just had to pit. So lap 7 it was, and that kept me in front for a little bit. He overtook me on the next straight, but it kept the
I
gap.
swear I thought 10 was the pit lap around here, but
You seem to have excellent head on your shoulders for that, and
A little bit early.
it's probably what the game suggested. I suspect, even though I thought again it suggested 10. But yeah, let's take a look at the championship standings real quick. Chandler, you're 9th place right now after just 2 finished races, but let's see, 33 points right now. The leader's at 179 or thereabouts. How far up do you think you can go before the end of the season with your car?
It's hard to say, really. I've not really looked at the standings, but I think if I could keep up an average of about P4 to P3, that range, I think we could climb a good few positions if I just stay consistent with it.
Yeah, well, I should mention, actually, no, wait, you were at 33 points coming into today. Now you have 58, so that should put you ahead of Katra, Neymar, FinFan, all of which were ahead of you coming into today. So you're up to 6th now, and a little bit behind Goody Doo. So again, well done to you, Chandler. Congrats on the win, and amazing pace today, especially given what you were in. So congratulations, and I wish you luck at Monza. Have a nice break.
Yep. Thank you.